Welcome to the Daily MBA, where business wisdom is served fresh and fast, straight from one of the top MBA programs in the world. I'll give you summaries of my lectures and readings, as well as the most important insights gained from an MBA, so you can apply all of this knowledge in every business. Let's get started. In today's episode, I'll start talking a lot about marketing. And so marketing is going to be usually something crucial in organizations because we may be very concerned about creating value to our customers, but if we can't communicate that value to them, or also if we don't know how to address whatever the needs of the customers are, then we aren't really creating value. We're just creating products. So that's why I'm going to dedicate many episodes into understanding better marketing and especially understanding why marketing is such an important tool for value creation. And so since that is one of the first things that I want to highlight on marketing, my first episode is going to be a guide to understanding customer value. And for that, we must first introduce one concept that's called value drivers. And these are going to be all of the factors that drive a person to value something while purchasing or consuming either a product or a service. So, value drivers are going to be changing all of the time among different groups, which we're later going to be calling segments. And even if two groups may share the same drivers, they may put different weights on each driver. Let's put all of these ambiguous concepts into some specific examples, such as cars. For example, someone that wants a car may be valuing safety, while another person might be valuing speed. Someone else may also be thinking about the status that the car that they are driving reflects. All of this are going to be called different value drivers because they are going to be all of the factors that you're using for making your new purchase. And every product that you're using right now or service is going to include some value drivers to it. So whatever you want to do as a marketing person is going to be identifying which are the value drivers and which groups put different weights on each one. Then another thing that you must consider for creating value for customers, it's going to be the product's costs, because usually we're blinded by our product's benefit and we're all the time saying all of the good things and benefits that using our product might bring when compared to competitors. But every product, and here I want to make it very emphatic, every product is going to have consequences that are negative for its purchase or consumption. And this may be monetary costs, emotional costs, switching costs. There's always going to be some cost that's associated with the product, and that's also one of the reasons that we should consider when we're creating a product. Because customer value is going to arise from all of the benefits that we're giving to a user, minus the costs that are also associated with our product or service. So this is going to be crucial, and it's the main definition that I want you to take away from this episode. This customer value that will be very tied to the value drivers will include both good things and bad things. So don't forget to include all of the bad things as well that your product may have, because you may be blinded by your product, but in reality, when you take it to the market, many people are going to be looking at all of the costs that they are incurring, emotional, physical, or monetary ones, just by using your product. Now, if we were to differentiate, we can also consider that there may be two types of value. There can be value to customer, also abbreviated as VTC, or we may have value of customer. And this is going to be the value that a company might get of its customers. The first one is going to be the value that we're giving to our customers. So let's start talking about the differences of these two types of value. And I'm going to start with value to customer, or VTC. So this one, as I was telling you, will be from a customer's perspective, and it aims to find why some products are more valuable than other products. Because VTC is going to be the dollar amount of value that a firm is going to be providing to the customers. And usually this dollar amount is going to be calculated from two different types of value that customers are perceiving. One of them is going to be economic value, and this is going to include all of the functional and rational benefits that the product is bringing. This is the economic one. But we may also have experiential value. So this is all of the emotional and transformational parts that a product may bring. If you're thinking in your mind some product that you really like, you may think of all of the economic values that it brings, but also most likely it will have lots of experiential values, because most of the products that we're using nowadays, that is your phone, your car, your computer, they're all going to have a little bit of both. Even though they have some functional thing that's working for you, you're also buying it for another reason that's not just the functionality. It's going to be the experience that you get from using it. So all the time we should consider these two values, economic and experiential, because they're going to be added up and they're going to be providing the overall value that's going to be given to our customers. Now, if we look to the other type of value, which was value of customer, this one is going to be from a company's perspective. And similar to the other one, this one aims to find why some customers are more valuable than others for a specific company. And this is usually going to be determined by the market attractiveness. So there are 4 factors that you should consider to see if a market is attractive or not. All of this would be from a company's perspective, knowing which customers it's going to select. First factor is going to be the demand size. And there are many frameworks for doing this market sizing of the demand. One very popular one is called TAM, SAM, and SUM. So this is going to abbreviate for total addressable market, which is the big possible market that's out there for your company. If we put any example, it might be the entire shoe industry in the US. That would be the TAM. Then if we want to do service addressable market, I would be narrowing it down just a little bit more, because this is going to be the market that I'm going to be addressing to in my service. So instead of saying the big shoe market in the US, now I'm going to narrow it down to sports shoes in the US. And then the sum, it's going to be sum of obtainable market, and it's usually going to be taken as a percentage that your company can capture from that previous SAM that we identified. So we may think of Nike as having, for example, 5% of that market share, or it may be even bigger if it's a bigger company. But this is going to be a ratio that we can usually use for knowing if a market is attractive or not. And as a rule of thumb, usually TAMs are going to be attractive if they are over $1 billion. So you want values that are bigger than $1 billion for your TAM. If not, it would be a market that's too little, and you wouldn't be putting so much effort into developing a product for a market that's not very attractive, and that's why those customers wouldn't have lots of value. Another way of estimating the market size may be using chain ratios, and this is basically getting percentages out of things. So let's assume I'm going to start developing some books that are going to be used for schools. I first have to make some assumptions. So let's say 50% of schools are using textbooks. Then out of those 50%, 10% are buying textbooks from this types of owners. So we start doing some types of ratios by getting percentages out of a number that we have. And from that, we can also do the sizing. These are 2 different approaches. One is the TAM, SAM, SUM. The other one is the chain ratio, but they're both very useful for estimating the market size. Second one that you want to know, it's going to be the market growth rate. And why do you want to know this? Because something that's growing, it's going to be a very good opportunity for you. And something that's not growing, it's going to be unattractive, and this isn't a market that you'd like to be in. Third type that you should consider is the willingness to pay. So how much are people going to be willing to pay for your product or service? If willingness to pay is low, then it's going to be very hard entering this market because people aren't willing to spend their money on your product or service. But on the other hand, if there's a high willingness to pay, then this is going to be a very attractive market. And The last one could be the intensity of competition or cannibalization. So if this is a market that's already flooded by competitors, it's going to be very hard for you to enter and make a profitable business out of it. You really want to be looking out for possible competition or cannibalization, and this means for big companies, when you already have one product in, you shouldn't be putting another product that might eat up your sales from the original product. So basically, I'm going to rewind a little just to summarize everything that I just told you. We may have value to customers, and this is from the customer's perspective, and this one's going to be based on the economic and experiential value that a product is providing them. We may, on the other hand, have the value of customers, and this is going to help a company, it's from a company's perspective, know which are the attractive markets, and ways of determining this is the demand size, the market growth rate, the willingness to pay, and the intensity of competition. Now, what comes next after you've determined all of these things? You already know value drivers, you already know the product's benefits and costs, and you already know the value that the product is bringing to customers or that the customers are giving you. Ideally, both. Well, the fourth step would be creating a value proposition. Because marketing, as I was telling you, is the process of value creation, because it will articulate a unique value the product is offering. So a value proposition must be aligned with your positioning statement, which I'll explain more in detail in another episode, but it's basically going to define a product's position in the market, showing how it is unique and how this selling proposition is going to be very tailored for the target audience. Lastly, after you've already done all of this, you're ready for the fifth and final part, and it's applying growth strategies. So, growth strategies are usually going to depend on the market and on the product. If the product is existing and it's also in an existing market, we're going to do market penetration. That is going to be the most common type of growth initiative. Then, if we are in an existing market, but the product is new, we should start with product development in order to make it growth. Now, if we're looking into only new markets, but existing products, we can do a market development strategy. Here, we would try with our existing product to develop a new market, or the hardest one would be having new markets and new products, and in this case, your growth strategy would be diversification. All of these results, you could plot them in a matrix where you have products on one axis and then markets on the other axis. So I'm going to share a photo so you can see how it would look like and better understand everything that I'm talking about. But I hope after listening to today's episode, you already know all of the steps that you need for really delivering value to customers. In my upcoming episodes, I'm going to start explaining the most important frameworks that are going to be related to marketing and how we can develop a marketing strategy that's going to be complete. We're going to start with the external and internal analysis, then we're going to dive into the value creation, and lastly, we're going to talk about the tactical decisions. So be sure to follow all of those episodes and also give me a review if you think my episodes are useful for you. I'll see you next week.